I was the literal definition of skinny fat because in high school, wearing the shirt skinny. The moment we went to Wet n Wild, like a theme park, that water theme park, yeah. The moment we went to Wet n Wild, I specifically remember one of my mates saying to me, I took off my shirt and he's like, oh, you're a lot fatter than I thought. Like you see some of the boys that were naturally in shape, had the genetics, and I just couldn't handle it. So found myself in the gym, and then it very quickly didn't become about the physique and more came about how I felt. And then when I realized, wow, this is life-changing beyond just like a bit of iron. Like, fuck, I know how much this has changed my life. I just want to help other people do the same. I worked at Bunnings and I was paying that rent and I was not making a profit for about a year. And the first lockdown hit, I was like, oh shit. I was trying to get into bodybuilding. I was living that lifestyle. I'm like, I'm going fucking nowhere with this. That's great. And then I gave myself another chance and I started realizing, okay, well, last year didn't work out. What needs to change? And I'm like, the only way mentally I can go all in on PT and online coaching is if I get rid of that Bunnings job that I had. Because I worked at Bunnings too. Quit everything. I burned every single boat. Or I put myself in the position where there's no other option but to do it. What is very underrated is going through the valley of despair and knowing what the worst of it feels like. Like, this is as bad as it gets. That's extremely empowering. Because if you go through life or your physique journey or your business journey or your relationship journey and it's all great and you don't know what terrible feels like, then when it hits you, it's going to feel like rock bottom and it could destroy you. Yep. But if you have been through the pits of shit in all these aspects, you're like, this is as bad as it can get.
What if the body you build isn't the destination, but the initiation? What if the six-pack, the muscle, the discipline wasn't the end goal, but the doorway into who you were meant to become? What if every rep, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt was the rite of passage to becoming a man of substance, not just size? Today's guest is a man who embodies what it means to align your actions with a deeper purpose. From a skinny, fat, wog teenager chasing confidence through aesthetics, to building a high-performance coaching business and helping hundreds of men transform not just their bodies, but their lives. Daniel De Santis, also known as Daniel the Lab, the WOG coach, has walked the path from misaligned to mission-driven.
Daniel also noticed after years of online coaching that it can be solitary and often sometimes a lonely pursuit. So he created the Coaches Circle, bringing together close to 100 online coaches to create a brotherhood and a support network of like-minded thinkers. People, growth, service, and personal development at the forefront of their minds. This episode is about what it really means to become a man of alignment in a world full of noise where many chase attention. Daniel chased integrity. Welcome to the Jacked Philosopher podcast, Daniel.
George and Nick, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. And I think what a way to start off the first podcast of 2026 with talking about community, right? And essentially what we've been able to be a part of thanks to Daniel. And I remember when you first sent me the message, bro, to say, oh, hey, bro, I'm thinking of starting a little group. This like, we just thought it'd honestly be like a little group chat with a couple of boys just pretty much chatting shit. But obviously it's come to what it's come to. So, you know, and then from there, obviously been able to get to know a lot of people that are in our industry of what can often be, you know, confused as a lonely industry and, you know, the things that obviously online coaches go through. But about you, Daniel, obviously tell us about where you started, what got you into online coaching. You were probably one of the OGs before it became such a big trend that now we see everyone sort of hopping on that bandwagon. But how did you get into the business of online coaching?
So, do you want me to start with where I started training and then how I got into online coaching?
Yeah,
what made you want to become jacked?
Yeah, well, I'm not jacked like you boys, but what made me want to become jacked, well, naturally, I think every 15, 16-year-old felt the same way. Some form of insecurity. Like skinny fat. I remember I was the literal definition of skinny fat because in high school, wearing the shirt skinny. The moment we went to Wet n Wild, like a theme park, that water theme park, yeah. The moment we went to Wet n Wild, I specifically remember one of my mates saying to me, I took off my shirt and he's like, oh, you're a lot fatter than I thought. So the very definition of skinny and then fat, and I couldn't handle that. Like you see some of the boys that were naturally in shape, had the genetics, and I just couldn't handle it. So found myself in the gym after convincing my mum, please let me go to World Gym. And she's like, no, like people are going to sell you steroids there. It's World Gym. I'm like, it's okay. I need to go. So built up the courage. My dad signed me up with my mate at the time. And I started from there. And then it very quickly didn't become about the physique and more came about how I felt and progression and sticking to promises and seeing progression. And then when I realized, wow, this is life-changing beyond just like a bit of iron. Like, fuck, I know how much this has changed my life. I just want to help other people do the same. Simple as that. I think also in school, I was naturally good at school, but I also never tried. So I knew I wasn't going to take a traditional uni to career path.
Yep.
What can I do? So then when you start getting into the gym, you get better at it, you learn about it. I spent hours every single day researching as much as I could, doing none of my homework, none of my study. I started knowing a lot about the gym. Naturally, people started asking me for help. And then it took that progression towards, so I went and got my certs and became a PT. Yeah.
Awesome. You mentioned, sorry, Nick, you mentioned that when you first started going to the gym, right, and this is something that we found as well, or it's like you've got two sides of the WOG family, right? You've got the half that, loved training and, even bodybuilding. You've got a lot of old Greek bodybuilders or WOG bodybuilders and whatnot. Then you've got the other half, which is what I think we all grew up with, which is like the gym. That's a place for people just to sell steroids. There's always that, sort of generalization where the gym's not needed,
That's a good point, because it seems like in the 70s and 80s, there was just the two groups where people that were like, oh, I want to be like Arnold, and then people that didn't want to touch the gym. And we came from parents from that second group where it's like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time? Go study. Whereas, yeah, like you were saying, there's a bit of a dichotomy. But these days it seems that more and more people are making it sort of part of their daily routine, and it's becoming a lot more, normalized to go to the gym and make that part of your routine. We're not there yet, but it's getting there.
It's really good. Like the fact that you'll get, and all us coaches will get so many different people from different walks of life willing to invest in coaching alone means that, because what the fuck, we weren't investing in online coaches when we started training. Like, what is that? People are willing to do it now. So it's 100% becoming.
Yeah, we were on bodybuilding.com forums.
Reddit.
To learn as much. Yeah, Reddit. Yeah.
Yeah.
The original YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned that there was, like, once you started going more regularly, it kind of clicked that it wasn't just about the aesthetics, it was about how you felt. Was there a particular moment where you realized that, or was it just a gradual sort of realization?
I think it was a gradual realization, but there were little moments. Like, you have your, like, a high school girlfriend, for example, when that didn't work out, you get in the gym like, whoa. And then you're like, oh, like, I feel good when I'm here. And then you start making that positive association of, well, I guess when I can't handle this or anxiety or depression, I can just go to the gym. And then you realize what the tool can really be. And I didn't have the easiest time in high school. I was an outstanding character. Like, you either love me or hate me, because I'm very just me. So then I also just didn't love high school whatsoever. I didn't love the environment. I didn't like being there. I didn't like the people. And I felt out of place. But the only time I felt in place was when I could control my variables through going to the gym. Like, it's like, I'm in control. It's all about me. No one else's opinion matters. As much as I absolutely cared about everyone's opinion when I was 16 and 17.
Oh, we all did, bro. And I actually resonate with that a lot, because I found the exact same thing. Like, bro, I failed my HSC. I got the 33 ATA. I just put absolutely zero effort in, Like, I used to get told from everyone, you've got all the potential, but I'm like, yeah, but I genuinely don't give a shit. Like, I don't, there's nothing here that I see myself benefiting from or taking afterwards with me into the future. Now, not everyone's like that. Like, if you're good at school, by all means, like, look to that and go to uni, do what you want. But I think the one thing that we all have in common is it took for us to actually get into the gym to realize, okay, there are variables here that I can control, because I can physically see the benefits of, the transformation, whether it's from going from skinny to jacked, or, from fat to skinny to then jacked, like I did, right? But it took for that process to get into the actual gym. That was the starting point. So I guess for you, you said that you did start to see that as a gradual process, which is what it obviously, it is. It's a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. But why do you think that, although in modern society we see a lot of people, willing to get into the gym because social media is preaching it to be, the new thing. We've obviously got a lot of influencers and bodybuilders to thank for the younger generation that are getting into the gym. But we've also got the majority, which is still incredibly overweight, which is still willing to give up straight away. And now, especially with the modern trend of pharmacology, want to just jump on drugs like Ozempic and things just to speed up the process and then not have any habits built up in the first place. So as another coach, you know, how would you, I guess, tell the younger generation, people that are getting into the gym, to simply fucking wait and just go through the periods that you need to go through, because that's essential in order to actually create that transformation? How are you able to, I guess, present that in a modern world of coaching whereby, you know, delayed gratification is a very necessary part of the process in order for anything to actually occur?
I think what people forget, especially the younger generation, I speak to the older and the younger generation, but what the younger generation forget is you have to act like the person you're trying to become before you can become the person. So a lot of people are trying to rush that process thinking, well, if I just take Retta now, if I just take gear now, if I try to fast forward this, if you don't spend the time trying to become the person that would achieve and sustain this physique or this lifestyle, this mindset, it's never going to happen. You might get there, but we've all seen it when we see like the 18-year-old or 19-year-old with no foundation to their physique. They hop on gear and they look like the weirdest motherfuckers. Like they have like huge delts and then acne everywhere and then everything is underdeveloped and then they lose it in the next year anyway because their health goes down a cliff. And it's hard work. You can't tell a 16, 17, 18-year-old. Some will listen, some won't. There's a few out there that do, and I respect them. But if you can just hear that focus on acting as the man that you want to become, as opposed to just trying to be that man in terms of I need that result now, it will eventually come. And I think what 17, 18-year-olds also forget is how fucking quickly time moves.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. I remember being 16, 17, still skinny, but a bit leaner, getting in the gym, and I was talking to like 23, 24-year-olds. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, it's been a year in the gym, I'm still not. And they're like, just time. I'm like, fuck off time. Like, what do you mean time? Like, I'm 17. Like, I've been training for a year. They're like, just wait, dude. And now that I'm 24, I look back, I'm like, holy shit.
It's gone like that, eh?
Like, literally like that.
Yeah.
Episode of the Jacked Philosopher is brought to you by Metamorph Physique, our coaching and mentorship program for men ready to transform their body, mindset, and life. We know what it feels to be stuck, overweight, unmotivated, undisciplined. That's where we started. And that is why we created a program that goes beyond training plans and diets. We rebuild daily structure, discipline, and the confidence that comes from building a physique that you're proud of. If you're ready to stop wasting time and finally take control, head to metamorphphysique.com or DM us on Instagram at George_metamorph or Nick_metamorph to transform your body and transform your life.
And I think that's what people seem to get scared about the most, because, you know, like you tell them, oh, you know, I've been training since I was, 15 or 16. We've all been training since we were 15 or 16. Like, yes, it was on and off. Yes, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing for the first half of that journey. But now that I look back, it's like I'm almost 26 now. Nick's almost 25. And it's like, realistically, we've been in and out of the gym for a decade. It does not
actually just crossed the 10-year mark.
There you go, right? But it does not feel like, it feels like yesterday I went on the bench press for the first time and hurt my back. Like, it goes so quick. But what you said, bro, there's so much truth to that, because when we say, doing the habits of the people that we want to aspire to be, we've got so many examples of this, from entrepreneurs like Alex Hormozy, from bodybuilders like, even Jake Cutler speaks about this. A lot of them speak about embodying the habits of the person that you want to become. So when we speak it into physique terms, it's like, if I want to become an IFBB pro, why would I start doing what people like Nick Walker, Derek Lunsford, Jake Cutler are doing when I get to that level? It's like, when you get to that level, it's because you've been doing those things as an amateur that enable you to keep going. Yeah. And if it were the case that, like I said, there's a reason why those pros or those people that are living those lives have to keep doing those things on a daily basis, because then it maintains that as well. You don't stop once you're there. You keep going and you figure out how to add to that, because that's how you obviously do things at scale when you get to that stage.
And obviously that example of, pro bodybuilding is like a microcosm for pretty much anything in life, whatever you want to achieve. Emulate the people that have done it. Anything that you want to do most likely has been done, and mistakes have already been made. You just need to be humble enough to actually learn from other people's mistakes and be receptive to that feedback. And I think that's what a lot of people, they're chasing that end result, but it's not the result that, counts. It's the journey to that result, the lessons learned along the way. And it's the same for something as simple as your physique. And if you don't have that mindset going into it, then there's no way you can do it long term because you're constantly chasing the next high, the next result, the next, Instagram post, rather than chasing the man that you want to become.
I think you nailed it with humble enough to learn from others that have been on your path, because it's just pride. When people don't want to take those learnings or look at someone and be like, you literally have everything I want. I to this day, I can't understand why you won't just listen to the person that has everything you want.
Yeah.
Like, I promise you it will take this amount of time. I promise you become the man that does these habits and actions before you actually physically become the man. Nah. What are you doing? Like, if this is something I'm very, very passionate about, when people are in a position where they know they need help. And I speak about this all the time on my content. It's the one message I say. You've been in this fucking vicious cycle, excuse my language, for years. The same shit. And you still hate exactly where you are. You hate the physical position, emotional, mental, financial, relationship, every position you're in. It's been years. But when the person in front of you that has everything that you want tells you what to do, you just can't hear it. Like, we can go into this.
That's I think one of the core things that need to be discussed is like, okay, what is causing you to continue staying in that vicious cycle? Is it fear? Is it fear of failure? If it's fear of failure, let's talk about that. Okay, what entails, in order to become anything successful, you have to learn from mistakes. You have to challenge yourself to the point where you are willing to fail, because otherwise, what the fuck are you learning, right? How do you know that you are becoming good at something if you haven't made mistakes? Now, I think that the problem that people face is, number one, they're afraid of hard work. They look at things on Instagram. They look at the lives that all these people are living. They look at your Hormozis, your Tates, all these influencers, around the world that have built these businesses. What they don't know about is the businesses that they've failed, is how many times they've tried so many different things that have gone to nothing, that the world hasn't publicized or heard about, and then they've decided, okay, I'm going to give this another crack. I'm going to try the next thing. Hormozzi's got the perfect example. He talks about the graph, about, your, what was it, the false optimism or the optimism.
The shiny object. Yeah.
That's the one, yeah, exactly, right? And then you realize when shit actually gets real, okay, I can either continue or I can drop off like the other 80% of people do and just admit failure.
Or look for the next thing.
Look for the next thing. Exactly.
Uninformed optimism.
Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, it's a fantastic graph. And I guess when you look at things from that way, you can see where people really go wrong. And when it comes to the physique thing, I guess, what would you think the number one thing that actually keeps people from taking action on something, as opposed to, just, like I said, just continued make-believe goals in their mind that they never actually take action on? It's just constant procrastination. What separates those two people?
I think what they don't do is they just don't trust themselves enough, because they have enough data. It's like, if you're 35 years old, fat as fuck, hate the way you've looked, and it's been your whole life, why would you trust that you're going to make it happen this time? So I think you get to a point where you've given yourself enough data and repetition of failed. And you get to a point where you're like, I'm obviously going to fail again. Like, literally, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's not even a fear of failure at this point. It's like, I'm going to fail.
It's pattern recognition at that
Pattern
point.
recognition at that point.
That's
So-
dangerous. 35 years of...
It's very dangerous. You will get and we understand how fitness coaching works. And when it comes time to onboard someone, we need to understand what their pain is and what their dream outcome is. And you can have a 35-year-old in the most pain, like literally in such a terrible position. They will tell you point blank, I think I might die in the next 10 years because of the way my health is going. Oh shit, we should probably do something about this. Once you get to the end of the call, okay, this is how we can move about it. Oh, I'll think about it. What are we thinking about? Like, what are we thinking about? Then I'll have like, no joke, I'll then have an 18-year-old girl the next call that will say, literally word for word, I want to invest in myself because I'm young and I live at home, so I can use this money to invest. How do we have 18-year-olds that are fucking acting a bit smarter than this 35-year-olds? Because they've given themselves how many years of adulthood knowing this pattern keeps reoccurring, nothing's going to change. But what they fail to realize is because they just haven't done something that works for them. Like, they've done the things that isn't online coaching, or maybe they've gone for the online coach that is just a brilliant marketer, doesn't work for whatever. So that's why they're not doing nothing about it.
And I guess the confusion among all these different right ways, like, there's 100 ways to skin a cat, and there's so many different methods, there's so many different dieting, philosophies that have come about, especially recently now when you've got, things like intermittent fasting, keto carnivore, you've got, cutting out different food sources and whatnot. And yes, all of those will work to an extent, but I think people are so confused with the amount of information that is out there. They've gone and tried all of these different, or a way of these different diets, but because they haven't stuck to anything for a long enough period of time to actually see results, that's when they just give up. And then, as you said, they go through that constant, reoccurring, that constant pattern.
Yeah.
But for you specifically, right, you had mentioned in the past that, you had your own sort of battle with, I guess, failure, with isolation. When was your, I guess, turning point? When did you, first of all, why did you feel, that you had to go through that? What was, I guess, the isolation from? And how were you able to turn that around into becoming, I guess, someone who you're comfortable with and essentially, being able to just push yourself forward to obviously build up to what you've built up now? So give us a bit of an insight into that. You had mentioned, obviously, you had gone through isolation. What did that look like for you? And what was that sort of side of Daniel? Why was he going through that?
I think it was just what naturally happens when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You're just figuring yourself out.
Yeah.
I think I didn't understand exactly who I was, but you have these either tendencies or inbuilt subconsciously what you want in your life, but you don't understand what it takes to achieve it. And it's hard to align your actions to what can completely fulfill you. So I think going from 15 to probably, honestly, until the beginning of this year, I was just not that clear about exactly what would fulfill me in this life. So then you go looking for it. And when it's not from socially, let's say, for example, just going out with the boys and partying, or when it's not from raves, and it's not from just getting bigger and more aesthetic in the gym, and it's not from attention, and it's not from validation, it's not from trying to prove yourself to others, like where is it then? Because these little pieces of dopamine, they help and they feel good, but then you're unfulfilled. So I think I felt isolated, not because I didn't have people around me. I've always had a very good support system with my family. They're emotionally always and physically always there. I've always had friends and good friends, and I felt isolated not because of I didn't have people around me, but because I didn't know who I was.
Yep.
And I didn't know what I wanted, and none of my actions aligned to, not none of them. That's not giving myself enough grace, but I just wasn't completely clear. So I think just a little bit of a journey of self-discovery, and none of that would have happened without the gym. And I say that because the gym was the best example of putting in work to something a bit greater that not only will I not see the result today, I'll have to see it later, but it also bleeds into other areas of life. If I improve aesthetically, I'm going to improve mentally. I'm going to improve psychologically. And that's what drove me to become a way better businessman. I would not be in this position without the gym, not just because I'm obviously an online coach in the fitness industry, but just because of all the lessons I learned through the gym. You find out more about yourself, your reactions to when something bad happens. Like if you're put out from an injury, how do you react? Like, are you going to have a meltdown? Are you going to say, fuck this, everything goes wrong for me? Or are you going to say, these are the cards I'm dealt, what can I play?
Yep.
And that ability, learning how you react, and then realizing you have to improve upon that, and realizing you have a lot to work on year after year after year after year, is why I feel more aligned now, because now everything just makes a lot more sense. And like we spoke about before, what happened with the brand new car I just got, like I could look at that and have a meltdown.
Yep.
And like low key felt like doing that. But I'm telling you, just from going through business for over 5 years and physique development for over 8, you learn how to react to shit that does not go your way.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up, Brad, because I've had very similar experiences recently, and I feel the more shit you go through in business, or the more, kind of shit you just dealt with in daily life, you become less and less reactive to it. Like in terms of the level of your outbursts. Like I remember, 5-6 years ago, if someone hit me, like, on the road, right, I would have completely lost my shit. Like, not at them, but just like, I have to take the car to the smash repair now. I'm going to be without a car, figure out public transport. It's like your whole sort of month or period of time just gets ruined because all you can focus on is what's just gone wrong. But now since then, because we've put ourselves in so many positions where so many more things can go wrong,
Shit always
it's
goes
like,
wrong.
like if our coaching software breaks down or Loom doesn't record, it's like, I've got to record 10 check-ins. It's like now it's got into the stage where you just take a deep breath. You're like, okay, fuck, let's just do it. Like, you know,
You go through all those exact same emotions, but a lot quicker.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So I'll actually give you an example, a very recent example. I'm sitting here right now with the QL injury. I've actually hurt my back a little bit. And
Because you don't warm up properly, bro.
hold on.
Coach. You've
Anyway,
I've never warmed up in my life.
it happens to the best of us. But when it happened, I thought, okay, so I'm in a lot of pain, yes. I'm not going to be able to train to the extent that I have been training up until this point. Oh, well, like, I guess I'll just focus on work because I can't really move too much. So I may as well, like, put my energy towards something productive. And yeah, in 4 or 5 days, I've already gotten a lot more mobility. I'm already planning my return to training and slowly increasing that. So it's like, okay, it is what it is. It happened, it's shit, but, you know, we'll take it for what it is and move on.
Yeah, this happened. Now what?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that for me took ages to come to terms with. And I never thought that way. Like when I was playing rugby league and let's say the day I cracked my ribs, I couldn't sleep for 3 weeks because I couldn't get comfortable. Yeah. It was the end of the world. It was the absolute end of the world. Oh, I can't play footy. You know, that's it. My Sundays are gone. You know, I can't do this, can't do that. I got fat again because I wasn't moving. I'm like, one little thing just ruined 5-6 months. Whereas now it's like, okay, let's just on to the next thing.
Do you know, I think that's because we rooted our identity in that one thing. So I think when you start to progress and maybe get older, maybe the frontal lobe develops, you no longer root your identity in that one thing. We now know, for example, with your back, like you maybe 2 or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, aesthetics are everything, bodybuilding was everything, or my physique and how I'm developing is everything. If I can't work on that, I'm fucked. But now you know there's so much more to life and you're so much more of a man than just that. So the second something happens, you can be like, okay, but like that's not everything it's a little part of me, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
I think, but an important part why we think this way now, and it goes across back to what you were saying before, where you had to willingly put yourself in uncomfortable positions where you were forced to grow and adapt. Now, as a part of that process, you have to learn certain things. And, you know, once you hit that rock bottom or, you know, like I said, you blew the diff in the new car, it's like, okay, realistically, how many diffs have you blown in the past, right? You know, speaking metaphorically now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
And actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's like, okay, I've gone through this shit many times before, you know, and as you obviously go through them, you're going to become less and less reactive because there are so many other things that you now have to worry about. I think the problem that most people fall into now, and this is going to be calling out a lot of people, you're not busy enough. You are simply not busy enough.
Yeah, facts.
And every single little thing that comes up, you revolve your whole world around it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I know people that if they get stood up on a date, they're going to be talking about it 9 months down the track. It's like, fucking get over yourself, bro.
Well, they used to be you, let's be honest.
Bro, yeah, bloody oath, bro.
He
Yeah.
admits it.
4-5 years ago, bro. Yeah, I was obsessed over one. Anyway, we all go through it, bro. We all go through it. But now it's like we're so busy with different shit.
Yeah.
You know, we've got, you know, obviously, you know, the business, we've got bodybuilding, you know, we've got all the boys and all the group chats that we talk with, you know, we can discuss the problems that we go with and obviously think about how we can go about things in a much more mature fashion. But the truth is, you know, we've made ourselves become incredibly busy. You know, if we're not training, you know, we're working on client stuff. You know, if we're not doing that, we're doing either podcasting or, you know, like yourself, you know, if you're not talking to clients, you know, you're organizing stuff with the coaches circle that you've created. There's always something going on where even if something, like you said, you know, something which we would have considered major, bro, like if I had bought a brand new car and done the diff, you know, I would have lost my shit about it a couple of years ago.
I lost it, but it was for a little bit of time.
Yeah. You know, you're still, obviously you're devoted about it, bro. Like, fuck.
You lose it, but it's condensed to like a couple minutes rather than,
Exactly. You know, in 2 months' time, you're not still going to be losing your shit over it. You know, you're going to get it fixed. You've realized, okay, it's fucked. It's shit. I got to get it fixed though. Life's going to go on. I've still got the other car. Like, we've become a lot more, I guess, controlled in how we think about things. And I think the systems that we've put in place enable us to actually think like that. Because think about it, right? Like if you have a client that goes off the rails for a week or two, right? The immediate reaction is, fuck, I'm going to rip into him. Like, but then you think about, okay, look, how can I actually educate this person? How can I go through the thought process of, okay, what's gone wrong here? How can I extrapolate all these things and make it understandable for that person so I can actually give feedback that's going to be actionable and obviously help benefit them? Because we don't know what's gone wrong. We don't know how whatever shit might have caused that to happen. But that thought process of how we talk to other people and how we've, essentially been able to put these systems in place have enabled us to audit our own way of thinking, I think, and our own control of emotions.
Yeah, 100%. When you work with hundreds of people and you learn how different people react to different circumstances, and then you see what that looks like externally, you're like, it might happen to you, and then you realize, I saw that person react like that, and then it resulted in that won't serve me. Like you learn so much by working with these people that you naturally then know how to treat your life moving forward.
Yeah, 100%.
I want you to talk to us about the start of the lab.
Yep.
So I remember back in the day when you were training at World Gym Moore Park, and you were probably back then the only one with the tripod in the gym filming. And I was like, what's this guy doing? And then I found out you're an online coach. I had no idea what that was back then. So yeah, take us back to the start of the lab.
Yeah, so I will say for sure, I'm not like an OG. Like there are PTs that I can say now that I looked up to at the time, Michael Opana, Mike Dawn. They've been PTs for a long time and always did very well. And I think I was maybe in my area, I grew up around like the Fairfield area, World Gym Marconi. I was probably the first younger bloke that put themselves on social media and recorded videos like this and started talking.
What gave you the courage to build up to do that? Because you wouldn't have had any examples, I guess, like people that you knew, unless you did, correct me if I'm wrong, to actually drive you to do that. Because we know now, just before you continue, that one of the biggest struggles that people have is doing exactly what you did, putting their face in front of the camera, just being unapologetically them and just calling out those exact pain points that, that you mentioned, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what actually gave you the courage to do that? Like how were you able to find the confidence to be like, you know what, fuck it, record, guys, stop being fat, like, whatever.
So, okay, this is why I do anything in life. It's because I didn't give myself another option. Like I have always burnt every single boat. Yep. Like I don't have another option. From day one, I said the only way, and like I can then delve into the story of how the lab was started. The only way I'm going to be successful as a PT, and like at the time when I was studying to become a PT, and just before that, you don't really like know about like, what do you mean online coaching is lucrative? That wasn't a thing. So it's PTing, and as a PT, it's not that easy to earn money, like in-person training.
You got to hustle.
So I knew I have to burn every boat. So one, I flunked the HSC. I didn't put any effort in whatsoever. Like I said, I was naturally very good. I'll air this for the first time in my life. This is 6 years later. I lied to my parents about what my ATAR was.
Did you beat me? At least I got a 33.
I got like 55 or something. And
you beat me?
You know how you could like inspect element on Google?
Yeah.
I called my sister in my room. I said, Amy, bro, like this is bad. Because I knew it was going to be bad because I remember opening the English pamphlet and I just flopped it. I actually didn't care. I knew what I was going to do in life. Got 55. I'm like, oh, fuck. Inspect element. I changed to like 60 or 70 something. Showed my parents and they're still disappointed. I was like, oh, shit.
Imagine you would. See, what I did, I just straight out said it because I'm like, you know what? They're only going to react bad once. If I delay it, bro, then I'm delaying the inevitable. So I just said, yep, I got 33. And literally it was... It was at the stage where both my parents knew. They're like, he was never going to do well in school. Like, bro, I was going up to Macca's with my mate when we were meant to be doing exams, bro, and just eating fucking Macca's from 8 o'clock in the morning. That's why I got so big, bro. All I did was eat like a pig at school.
Yeah.
So my parents kind of knew. They're like, fuck, like they were just praying. Honestly, they were just praying for me, bro.
Yeah.
They're like, we just pray that he can find what he wants to do. Obviously, the school's not for him. So when the 33 came out, it wasn't much of a surprise. I mean, now that I look back at it, I was kind of a bit insulted, but like, yeah, it is what it is, bro. Anyway, we're here now.
Yeah.
Go on,
So I burnt every bridge. I said, I'm not even going to try. I stopped trying in like year 9. All right? I'm like, I'm not even going to try. But that also means I don't have another option.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you don't go to uni, you don't get the ATAR you need. Like you can work your way around that after 5 years and 100 grand of extent.
You kind of put your own back against the wall and like you don't give yourself any other option.
Every single time I'll take you through the lab and I'll give you every example of when I just don't give myself an option. So I got into PT 19, like, and I look 16. I didn't realize that at the time. I signed up to just a well-known gym And I started paying $300 a week rent. And for me, I've never earned $300 a week in my life at that point. I was earning like 100 or 200 bucks a week, whatever, studying, trying to make it happen. I worked at Bunnings and I was paying that rent and I was not making a profit for about a year. And the first lockdown hit, I was like, oh shit. I was trying to get into bodybuilding. I was living that lifestyle. I'm like, I'm going fucking nowhere with this. That's great. And then I gave myself another chance at the original Olympian gym in, not Smithfield, the one that opened up in Weatherall Park before they closed it. I went there and I started realizing, okay, well, last year didn't work out. What needs to change? I guess I just got to keep going. And then it started going, like naturally, if you're in the game, started going decently. And I'm like, the only way mentally I can go all in on PT and online coaching is if I get rid of that Bunnings job that I had. Because I worked at Bunnings too. And that was my casual job that helped me float and make money. I'm like, I can keep that. And if I keep that $500 away from Bunnings, it's an extra 25 grand in the year. That's the smart thing to do. Everyone's telling me just keep it. Parents, keep it. You're making no money PT and online coaching.
Always have something to fall back.
Yeah. I handed in my resignation. I said, get fucked. I said, I'm done. And they're like, I remember my parents being like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? Like, you're so quick to, I don't care. So then that was a step up. I'm like, I have no other option now. I need to go. And then about a month passed after quitting it, I was making fuck all money after rent. And I'm like, something needs to change here. What is going on? And then I'm looking at my social media. I'm like, trying to think, why are people not signing to me as a coach or as a PT? And then I recognized I'm not speaking to anyone. No one knows who I am. No one knows exactly what I do. You can post your physique. You know how these like people that are into bodybuilding are.
Yeah.
Here are my front shots. Here are my quarter turns. I dropped
just updates
600. And like, who gives a single fuck? So I started talking on camera. I'll even, if you want to put it up or something, I don't know. I'll send you guys a link of one of my first videos, bro. I'm literally talking like this. I'm like shaking, like, and then for the hack squat, put your legs.
Yeah.
But because I was the only person from their area that put their face on camera and started talking about how to lose fat and build muscle, I started signing clients like that. So it was the right time. It was the right timing, but I forced myself to do it. Then very quickly after that, I said, I know I want to go full-time online. I don't know if I make enough money to do that yet, but if I quit PT, I have to do it.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, parents, I'm quitting PT. They're like, you're fucking joking. Like, yes,
Here we go again.
They're like, I'll just give it time. I'm like, I will. And like, I quit the next day. Great. This guy moves way too quickly, which is actually like a fundamental key of success.
Yep.
Like,
Speed of business, mate. Yep.
And then I remember I followed Brian Mark, one of those business mentors, early 2023. So this is 3 years ago now. And I got cold DM'd, like out, not cold, warm DM really. I'm like, oh, he messaged me. No way. Fucking like, come to know. I'm like, no way. He sold me through the DMs. I think I was making okay money online coaching, but obviously I want to take it next level. I was 20 at the time. I want to be self-sustained. I want to whatever. 20 or 21. And then he sold me through the DMs. And again, I didn't give myself an out. I paid like 10 grand like that. And I don't think I've ever made 10 grand in a month at that point. And that again put my back against the wall. I'm like, I didn't know anyone else that invested into mentorship outside of uni.
Wasn't around back then.
It wasn't a thing. So when I did that, again, it was like, oh, fuck. Like, I think my parents were like, okay, like this guy's doing whatever the fuck.
He's lost it now.
He's lost the plot. And like 10 grand, that's a year at uni, right? I did it. And then like 2 or 3 months later, I made 20 grand. I was living at home. I made 20 grand in a month. I was living at home. I was 21. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no way. If I want to grow further, I need to become self-sustained. I'm moving out. I told my parents and they're like, holy fuck. Like now he's moving out. Like this cunt's crazy. So then I moved out at 21. I moved straight into the city because I didn't want to give myself an out. Like I'm like, I need to make this happen. And if I live at home, I'm going to be too comfortable because this is more than enough money. So I'm going to get too comfortable. So I moved out and then, I don't know if you boys like moved out, had a period move. Wow. Life's very expensive, to say the least, when you're self-sustained. So then I didn't give myself an out. This is middle of 2023. That's when I started training at World Gym Alpaca. And at that time, I think I built it to like 60 clients. And I was not the only one like that was doing it. But in terms of from the area, 21 went all for it. I just didn't give myself an option. And to this day, like the offer is still home. Like I could always move home. I just have not given myself an option. I quit everything. I burned every single boat, or I put myself in the position where there's no other option but to do it.
Yep.
So you fast forward all this time, lots of shit happens in between, business up and downs. I almost quit last year, like straight out. Like I was still making okay money, but it wasn't going anywhere. I thought that was it. I was in the worst space mentally. I'm like, this is going nowhere. I don't know what the fuck to do. And then I recorded a video to myself and I said, like, this month is when I work it out or I'm fucked and I go somewhere else.
Yep.
When I really sat down and think about it, I'm like, I don't have anywhere else to go. Like, even if I go somewhere else, I need to go and do my own thing, start my own business. I'm like, I already have this in front of me. Like, let's triple down. So then and in the meantime, I've done other courses and I paid like $12K for 12 weeks of business mentorship, whatever. I said, I'm going to fucking do this myself. I reached out to a mentor that a lot of people were with, and then he told me, and I said, you know what? That's not the issue. The issue is I just haven't doubled down with what I do know. Then I started ads, spent a lot of money on them, wasted a lot of money, learned a lot of shit, and then my business just started blowing up. Double, triple the revenue of what I had once been. And that's because I didn't allow myself the out. I had moved out, and even in a really bad spot, I said, I'm not moving back home. I don't have any like fallback. This is it. And I do that with every single thing I ever do. I put myself in a position where there is no ability to back out, and I have to do everything possible, because if I don't, I'm fucked. So that's why I started recording in the first place, because if I didn't, I would have been fucked. I would have gotten nowhere. And that's also why the coach circle started. Shout out to my missus. Very good idea. It was actually her idea.
Oh, okay.
So she just went to work and she was talking about her day, little frustrations. I'm like, you know what's good about your work, but you got people there. Like, you can talk to people. You got people you can gel with, relate to, build friendships with. I don't have that shit. Like, for the past 5 years, I'm sitting on my ass, and you can say, but you talk to clients. It's
not the same.
I fucking love them, but like, it's just like, it's obviously not friendship. Some end up becoming friends, but then she's like, well, I'm sure every other online coach feels the same as you. I'm like, valid. And she's like, they make a group chat. I'm like, oh, valid. I'm like, how do I make it? She's like, send this message. Yeah, she drafted the message for me. I'm like, okay. She drafted that message. I said,
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the idea of growing it further into a community was more so what I thought would work. But she definitely initiated that and then gave me the ideas to keep it pushing. But what also made me not back out and have to do it was, I'm like, it was taking a few days for me to do it. I wasn't moving quick enough. She's like, why are you so slow? Like, make that community. I'm like, right. She's like, register your business name, pay the money, pay the this and then that, and then you have to do it. I'm like, good point. So I paid like $1,000 to register everything. So now I had no out. Like, I had to do it. And then she made me send the message out that night to everyone. And then I had to do it, because then when you send a message out to 20 boys, you're like, fuck, I can't back out now.
Yeah.
So
you're essentially putting yourself up against another wall, right? You're telling yourself, I have to do this.
100%. It's like the school. I pay for the school membership. That's like $200 a month. Like, I have to do it. I don't give myself an option ever anymore. Or you'll see, I might put in the chat, next Thursday, sales training, whatever. Who's keen to join? Everyone likes it. I haven't organized shit at that point. Like, I'm like, or 7th of Feb, we're going to meet up. Who's keen? 30 boys. I haven't organized shit. I just say I'm going to do it. I'm like, fuck, now I have to figure it out.
Well, it's not a bad way to look at it, because you're essentially, you're giving yourself, well, first of all, you want to know that it's worth your time. Who's interested? Is it worth me putting all this together? And then, obviously, once you've put the message out, the option is, it's there, right? You have to do it, which is good. But I think what you said about, obviously, your rise to where you are now, the method that which you've chosen to adapt, right? Which is, burn every boat, essentially, burn every bridge, whatever. This is the only option. People might say that it's crazy, but when you think about modern society, the comforts that we are presented with, you almost have to do that in order to actually, have the potential to even get anywhere, because everything is designed to make us so comfortable now, right? Like, think about it, and I've used this example in the past. I want something, I'll order it off Amazon, it comes the next day. I want Uber Eats, it's there in 20 minutes. I want whatever the hell I want, I can pretty much get it within the grasp of my palm. And everyone is so used to this, which is why so many people are so lazy to get off their ass and actually attempt to do something. And when we become used to this lifestyle, especially if you went to a private school, I went to a private school myself. My parents sacrificed a fuck ton of money for me to get through the 3. So, you know, that was a bit of it. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to start the business, because our dream of becoming successful is so we can also, you know, hopefully one day, you know, pay off the family house. You know, that's what we want to do. But again, you know, it's like you said, bro, because we have all these comforts and we get so used to this way of living easily, in order to actually stand out and to potentially achieve anything greater, you have to give up that Bunnings job, bro. You know, you can't have anything to fall back on. And I went through the same thing very recently, bro, with my full-time government job. I was working for the Department of Home Affairs. And bro, I literally got to a stage where it's like, okay, I can either, you know, take the next step and do my business full-time, or I can still essentially waste away here 10 hours a day on shift work with the hope of scaling my business at the same time. It's not going to fucking happen.
What's more comfortable? It would be more comfortable for you to keep that cushy job. And that's what a lot of people would be.
Every single person said to me, especially all the wogs, bro, that government job, we killed for that back in the day. It's like, yeah, but I don't see myself doing this in 30 years.
What did you kill for, man? You killed to be dead the rest of your life.
15.4% super, which is going to be worth fuck all by the time you retire because of the rate of inflation anyway.
Yeah.
What 100 grand you've got sitting in your super now is not going to be worth 100 grand in 40 years time, bro. You know, so there's that, and the job security. It's like, okay, great. So I'm guaranteed a wage of 100K a year for the next 30 years. It's like 100K a year can't get me a deposit in 2025. What's it going to get me in 30 years time, bro? Like, you know, so
100%. We have to battle against what the world is now. And I think that any person that ever said to you, keep that cushy job, any person that ever said to me, keep Bunnings or keep PT or don't move out or you're moving too quickly, why did you buy that property? None of them, as much as I love some of them, are doing well, that well financially, as well as I want to do.
Yeah.
Everyone that is doing well. So when I speak to people that are doing 3-5 million a year, even 10 million, like every time I tell them about a decision I made, they're like, good. Perfect. Like I'm like, okay. Like I don't look for validation, but I look for, like, I can see the patterns of what these people that achieve a lot do, and they burn every boat and don't give themselves an option.
Exactly.
When have you ever heard someone doing extremely well that says, oh, just keep a backup and like take it slow? They're like, go all in, leave nothing to it, because the worst that happens is you go back to where you were and you try again.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, bro. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, who was it that said the worst case scenario, get a job, try again?
Well, it was one of the calls that we, wasn't it one of the guys that you had brought on?
I don't know. It was no, it could have been Reese or, anyway, someone said,
someone who's doing
worst case scenario, just get a job.
Fucking go back, get a job. Yeah.
So, but that draws back to what you said in the past about even with coaching, right? It's like, why would you not listen to someone who's doing better than you? It's like, if you're looking at someone who's got everything that you want, and they're the ones telling you, good, go all in, bro. Fire all cylinders. It's like, okay, well, look at this guy's driving this car. This guy's got this real estate. And again, look, this isn't to get caught up in materialism, but it's the life that we want, obviously, to be financially comfortable, to be able to tap the card, not worry about what the bloody statement's going to say at the end of the month. It's like, you know, I think that is, you know, nothing wrong with obviously wanting that. You know, we want to have comfortable lives. We want to be able to put our future kids in the best schools, take our future girlfriends or our wives around the world and not have to worry about it, right?
We're called to do that as men too. Like exactly. We're supposed to make the most of the tools that we've been given.
Exactly. We're the providers, right? At the end of the day, we should be working our asses off to provide the best possible outcome for our family. And, you know, as you said, bro, that requires putting the hard work in and obviously not giving yourself any other option. It's like, because this is what we're truly capable of. Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, society likes to tell men to settle for less nowadays. You don't have to go out and be leaders. You don't have to go out and achieve all this. It's like, yes, look, I understand there is a need for every single job. Yeah. We have to accept that, right? There's a need for garbos, council workers, government workers. All of those roles play a vital position. However, don't at the same time push the agenda that men don't need to achieve, because that's where the men who do have the potential, who end up getting stuck in those jobs that they don't really want, there are men that are made for those jobs, absolutely, and they put as much value to a society as every single other person does. But the ones that are stuck in those jobs, like I guess me and you were, that had to fight our way out of that sort of matrix of those men who had that potential, why is that being pacified in modern society? I want to get your take on it. You know, why do you feel that agenda is being pushed on, you know, modern society that men shouldn't achieve?
There's such a can of worms. So like, there's so much to say. I would also push back in 2026. There is a lot that is telling us men to go ahead and achieve more.
That is
I think you see what you're looking for, because personally, I have been on every end of the spectrum in terms of, I guess maybe I don't need to do that much. I can just earn enough to live my life. That was back when I was like 19, and obviously you're not doing well. So you're like, I just don't know. Then I've been on the other opposite end where my social media is full of self-development, achieving, providing.
as is too now.
Right. I think a lot of these people find what they're looking for subconsciously. I can't give like a straight answer as to why we're being told it's okay to underachieve. And I would say I don't see much of that. I have before. I've definitely seen like the whole don't stress too much. There should be equal partnership and two people earning enough to give to the household. I think that economically and for where we are, it makes sense in terms of like, what's the average salary? What does it take to live? Obviously, you need two people, and you can't put all the pressure on men to the point where they're debilitatingly depressed because they can't provide. So I think there's a good message out there that says it's okay if right now you're in the position that you can't do that.
Yep.
Like, that's the world we're in. We're not in the most fair world. Economically, it's not there. Like, it's not there for the average man to be able to provide. I do feel like, from what I've seen and what I've researched, that the average man could provide 50 years ago. So it's a different world now. I think it's fair and okay to say there's nothing wrong with you if that's where you are right now. But I think what is wrong is when people take that message, or there are people portraying more of a louder message that says, then settle for that.
Yeah, use it as an excuse to be like, okay, this is my cap's potential.
Like,
potentially.
don't make it about because of externally, then I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's them looking for that excuse. And of course, there are 1% of people that are telling men to underachieve. There are 1% of people telling men to achieve. But in general, the core message is look at where we are economically. But then you make of it what you will. Because here's the thing. We all have access to the same algorithm. We all have access to all the videos across the internet. Why is our algorithm full of self-help, self-development, mastery? Because it's what we're looking for. We're all in the same economy. We both fucked our ATARs. Like, there's nothing. Did you do all right?
Yeah, I do.
Bro, who got 90, bro?
Don't worry about it. No, stay out of this conversation. Now, like, how come we decided to go on? And it wasn't because we had people in our ears telling us to do it. We just decided to. So at the same time, I wouldn't say it's more of a society thing. I still think you have autonomy and you have free will. And I would put it back on the man. I wouldn't put it on social media, a message being spread, because I don't care what message is being spread. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do anyway.
Yep.
Like, I don't fall to that.
So it's a very interesting point, and I do agree with you where it's like, okay, you got to make what you will of what's being pushed out to you. Like, it's completely up to you how you react to it. But what I noticed, and the reason why I couldn't stand uni, is I went there thinking that it was what it was supposed to be, which is a place of free thinking, exchanging ideas and things of that nature. Instead, what uni was, you can think freely within our parameters.
Yeah.
And I think the people that go through that system, they don't develop that mindset that you've got where it's like, show me what you want. I don't care. I'll do what I think is right. Where it's like, no, I've been told this is what's right.
But I think that's still on you.
It is. No, 100% it is.
Yeah. You're 100% right. Like, the way almost everything is programmed is to follow this strict line, which I can understand from like a practical point of view why uni works the way it works. But if you ask any entrepreneur or any successful businesswoman or man, they will all say the same about today's schooling standard. Whether it's uni or college in America, there's so many reasons why in today's day and age this does not work or is not as effective as it once was. I would say, regardless of that, if we're free thinkers, man, I don't let anyone use, well, this is how society has appropriate or like programmed, or that's the norm. I don't. What
enables us to be free thinkers though? Because we're free thinkers. However, you look at a lot of people, they'll give you the exact same copy and paste answer that the person next to them will give. So you're right, we are free thinkers, but what has enabled us and I guess like-minded people to be able to, I guess, think from, that external perspective and to really think in, both in introspect and retrospect, right, on a sort of different level to actually give us the ability to be like, okay, well, I'm going to think laterally on this as opposed to like that. Where's that difference? And how does someone become a free thinker?
Straight out, I don't know. But I think the first thing I will admit is a form of privilege, which is in my life, it's never like I've been shut down to be able to freely think. Like, don't get me wrong. Like they had a path that they probably would have preferred I took at the start, safer, more structured.
Yep.
But it's not like I was ever in any way emotionally, mentally, or physically abused for trying to stray the path. So I'll say that as a blanket statement. There are probably people out there that are in very traditional is the wrong word, but strict families where if they even tried to not go to uni, that's not even an option.
Yep.
So there's a level of privilege there for sure. Above and beyond that, I don't know what the actual answer is. I think there's something built in me innately where it's like, I don't want to listen to what other people say my life has to be like. But I think what people haven't done is sat down and truly thought about what they want their life to look like. What they want their life to look like, how they want to behave, act, react, live throughout. They haven't looked at that. It's funny because we get this one chance. Like we get this, like seriously, we get one chance to live this life and people haven't even taken the time to sit down and be like, this is the life I want. Is what the actions I'm taking right now going to lead me towards that? Fuck, for most people, no. But they haven't even took that step to look at what they might just like hope or dream. Like, yeah, that would be nice. They look at this car, yeah, that'd be nice. This house, yeah, that'd be nice. This business, yeah, that'd be nice. But they haven't stopped and thought, it's fucking possible. What life do I want to live? Now I need to go and freely think because the way I'm being programmed to follow through is not do that. And the thing is about the way schooling is set up, the uni system set up, career is set up, is it makes sense. It's efficient for the world, for the global economy, for taxes, it's efficient. But then in that, it's not only just physically what it is, it rewires you mentally to not even start to think outside. So if you're not built from day one to say, I want to start thinking outside, if you go through that system for 30 years, you're probably not going to be the person that will start to. But you need to start somewhere. And that's with the question of what do I want in this life and is where I'm going taking me where I want to go. To me, it was fuck no. School, uni is not going to take me to where I want to go. Simple as that. So now what? If that makes sense.
No, that's a very good point. And I think that's essentially what's missing from most young people these days when they're trying to figure out, what they want to do. They don't actually ask themselves, what do I want? And that self-reflection is so important. And that's what leads you on a path. And that's what allows you to burn all the boats. That's what allows you to back yourself into a corner and say, I'm getting out. I will figure a way out because this is what I want. And I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I think that's what's missing from people and why people feel like they're drifting and, they don't know what they believe anymore. So yeah, that's really interesting. But when it comes to when you did, you mentioned the point where you almost gave up. What was going through your mind there?
So what was really happening, actually in reality, was the business just was not growing at all. I was doing everything I thought was right to do. It wasn't growing and I was actually seeing dips because you see how the market, my gosh, I know this is every market ever, but the fitness coaching online market, it changes every 3 months. Like the way to grow a business is not the same as it was 3 months ago. You need to be so dynamic and it's so tiring. People think from the outside, oh, you're just a coach. Like people come to you and sign up. How hard could it be? You charge X thousands of dollars. Wow, it must be so good. I don't think you fucking begin to understand. Unfortunately, online coaching, and correct me if I'm wrong, is 80% building the business, marketing, sales, and then 20% delivering. I I wish it was a world of just delivering. And I wish that was all it was, because then I'd just have a team of coaches and we would just deliver. But that's not the case. We have to spend so much time on the other side of things, and it's very tiring, and it can lead you down like a pit of just despair. Like, this doesn't work, spend money, it doesn't work. And I got to a point where last March 2025, I wasn't doing any better than I was the year before. And I'm like, fuck, that's a full year of no growing. And I live a very expensive lifestyle between the rent I have to pay, the mortgage that I pay, everything else in my lifestyle, the business itself. It's not enough to just float. Like, if I want to create a future where I can provide, where I can invest and have an earlier retirement, it's not going to come from enough.
Yep.
But unfortunately, all online coaching was at that point was enough. So the only options were to fucking pull my back against the wall and figure out a way that it could work, or go to the next thing. Because what happens, you look at the shiny object, uninformed optimism. I have every bit of informed pessimism. I was in the valley of despair.
Yeah.
And like, I was so ready to jump. I was like, there's other career paths. This person's making money that way. I'm not getting rewarded for the efforts that I put in here. But then after I sat down, had a bit of a breakdown, not crying, just in a general, like, fuck me, like, where am I at? Had a bit of a breakdown. Then I looked at it for what it was. I'm like, have I done every single thing possible? No, clearly not. Because anyone that has done everything possible to grow would have grown by now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't beat it. Like, you can't, don't tell me you can't grow your business and you've done everything possible. You haven't.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't even explored ads that much. I haven't even explored this that much. My customer journey isn't even perfectly printed out. My ICP isn't that clear. My blah, 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 blah. So what it looked like physically was revenue was down. Client satisfaction was always there. But naturally, in online coaching, the way you bring on clients is everyone from the area, everyone that knows you. Those people refer on. But then naturally that kind of drifts out. You've kind of covered your whole area. It fizzles.
Yeah,
it's like
right.
everyone that could have come to you for coaching has been with you. And 99% of people don't stay with an online coach for more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
So like, they're going to leave at some point. That's done. I've been in the game for over 5 years. Those people are sorted. There's some from the area that still come back, whatever. That's not enough to keep the business afloat. So you need to go searching for new people. And then that was when I started leaning into more paid traffic and advertising. I was very close to quitting, very close to calling it a day. It was probably my lowest revenue that I'd experienced in like 2 or 3 years. And obviously my expenses were still up there. So, but it sounds very, when I say it out loud, it might say that's not that big of a deal. Revenue was a bit low. Like, you had savings. It's not that. It's when you don't have belief in yourself as a business owner, that's done.
That's everything.
The moment you start doubting yourself to a level where you almost can't even work around it or remember what it's like to believe in yourself, that's when you're almost done. And that's where I was at. And I recorded a video on my phone. I still have it to this day. I said, it's either it's this month or it's never. And then I remember watching that back just the day after, like, fuck, bro, like, this is real. So then I didn't give myself an option and I went for it. And then now I'm in the best position I've ever been in, times fucking 1,000.
There you go.
But I still have my things. Like, I still have my levels of doubt, and this doesn't go right. But every business owner is going to be at that point. Luckily, at least in my point of business, I still had savings and I still had this and I still had a property and blah, blah, blah. I just didn't know if the business was going to go anywhere. And I'm a very proactive thinker.
Yep.
Like, I'm very I can see what something's going to look like in 3 years. A lot of coaches look at month to month. I'm like, where will this be in 3 years? When I looked at it at that point, I'm like, I had enough to float. I could have floated for the rest of the year, maybe the next 2 years.
Yep.
But then what?
Yeah.
So I wanted to proactively think, and that's where I am now. So yeah.
And as you said, bro, like, you were at the valley of despair, but now you said, now 10x, whatever, right? It's like, yeah, so, you have to go through those moments. Everyone has to hit that valley of despair and, decide to get back up and rise again, right? Because as you said, it's the necessary stages of business, and that's going to continue, but, the problems will become less and less, and obviously the return will become more and more. And we've seen that in every single business. But what's important is that it's, I guess, drawing this back to the initial point that you made, right? Physical training has given you the anchor to be able to flow out all these, all these skills into every other area of life and to keep you grounded in business. And that's exactly what it's essentially done for us. That's why we call this podcast Jacked Philosopher, because, essentially the physical training being the anchor and the fundamental base that keeps us all driving when we are going through these failures, when we are going through the valley of despair. It's that we can still train, we can still feel good in the gym, we can still make some form of progress, even if everything else is going to shit. And I think when people don't have that in their lives, when they don't have that aspect of physical training, then what are they falling towards when everything is going to shit? Drugs, alcohol, gambling, prostitutes, whatever the case is, right? These instant dopamine hits. And that's when you don't get out of that valley of despair. And that cycle becomes constant, which is what we see in a lot of, in a lot of clients and prospects and people that we talk to. So having that physical training as a fundamental, even if you don't know what the fuck it is that you were doing, which is where we all started, right? But we were in there. We thought, okay, today I'm going to get one more rep. Today I'm going to try a different exercise. Hell, today I'm going to ask someone how to do this exercise, As long as you start on that journey, then as you said, the further you grow, the less those problems become, or the better equipped you are able to deal with them, because you have the gym to essentially be your foundational, I guess, base as to, where that strength comes from.
I would argue that you never truly have any idea what you're doing, because as life as life goes on, like, all right, you get married, now you got to navigate that. You have a kid, well, now you got to navigate that. If you grow your business every level, you've got no idea what's going on.
If you know everything that you're doing, it just means you're doing nothing new.
Exactly.
Not the life it means you're not progressing. So if you don't know what the fuck's going on, that's great. It means whatever you're doing, you're trying to move to the next thing. And to add to what you said, I think what is very underrated is going through the valley of despair and knowing what the worst of it feels like. Like, this is as bad as it gets. That's extremely empowering, because if you go through life, or your physique journey, or your business journey, or your relationship journey, and it's all great, and you don't know what terrible feels like, then when it hits you, it's going to feel like rock bottom and it could destroy you. Yep. But if you have been through the pits of shit in all these aspects, you're like, this is as bad as it can get. I think luckily for all of us, when it comes to health, knock on wood, we haven't been through like a pit, right? Actually, I know you.
Oh, I have.
But you, I think you know what I mean in terms of we've never been bedridden, coma.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to business, when it comes to relationships and training, we've all been at that point where it's like, this is as fucking bad as it can get. But at least now I know that's all it can be. Yeah. So that's so much. You've been through it. You've been through the worst of it. Anything that comes up now,
it's only up.
Yeah. And what you said before, like, it takes for you to hit. So for me, I hit the physical valley of despair before I hit the business valley of despair, because, like I said, that's what caused me to do this in the first place. So mine was like the other way around, because I was that stubborn person. I was the same stubborn as you, whereas, like, you can't tell me what the fuck to do, but it was the opposite. It's, George, you're going to die if you don't do this. George, you got to stop doing this. I'm like, nah, fuck you. I'm going to keep eating, keep taking drugs. I was cooked, bro. I was an addict for 3 years. I've said this before. But yeah, it took for me to hit that realization where it's like, if I keep doing this, I'm either going to go to jail, get arrested, or die. And yeah, that was my rock bottom of like a life in general. And then since then, obviously, I did what I did, and then we've hit the similar business valleys of despair, with my job, leaving my job, having to, come to that sort of conclusion, and been unemployed for 4 weeks and having a total of 10 clients before we started to build on that.
Yeah.
And, not being able to pay myself anything. But as you said, bro, all those things are so necessary for not just, to grow in business, but in life in general, right? If we don't go out and potentially put ourselves in these uncomfortable positions, what are we achieving? What are we looking to achieve? Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that, bro. And I guess for the young generation of men out there, both, potential clients, people that you already serve, what advice would you give as someone who is still very young, right? You're one of the youngest guests that we've had on the podcast. We're all young.
We're all young.
We're all young. What advice would you give, to people our age, to people in our generation who might be going through the same sort of shit and are afraid of hitting that rock bottom? What would you say to them, that are confused about what they want to achieve in life?
I think I'll try to speak to who I was when I was younger, because that's probably the easiest way to relate. There's a few things. A lot of people are scared to hit rock bottom, not just because of how it feels, but how it looks like outside of that to other people. So I'd say almost everyone under 21, and honestly in our area, probably until like 45. Care way too much about what other people think. So number one is that no one actually gives a single fuck about you. Like in terms of like they might care for you or want you to do well, but they don't care that much.
That's true.
Not as much as you do. And you're going to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So whatever happens, just understand. And I think this is freeing. I don't think this is bad. I don't think this is a sad thing to say. You're always alone in this world. Physically. You're always going to be alone and in your own body for the rest of your life. You might have, I have the world's most amazing partner, and I'm sure everyone else with a partner might say that too, which is fantastic. You might have good friends, good family. You are still you. And you have to allow yourself to experience these rock bottoms and valleys of despair to understand how strong you are. Because the truth is, at the end of the day, if you don't go through that, who are you? And like, what man are you? Like, because we can all look at the person with amazing genetics that has a seriously good physique and has since day one, maybe hits the gym a few times, eats whatever, they look amazing. We all actually look at that. That's cool. That's a good physique. But we also know, like, okay, you didn't do anything to achieve it. What's cool or impressive about that? Not in terms of how I view someone, but in terms of if that was me, I wouldn't feel fulfilled. And we all look at that person who might come from a lot of money and always had life very easy, had a backing, gets given properties and a business. And we all look at that and like, yeah, that may be nice, but who has that person become to achieve that? No one. And
where do you see those people end up as well most of the time?
Yeah. A lot of the time that doesn't end up well, at least either financially, emotionally, or just like where's the fulfillment? And that's not to project and say like I just wish I had an easier like backup. But in terms of that's cool and that's the life you live. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And there's things to achieve outside physique and financially anyway. So it's not like those people can't go ahead and live a fulfilling life. But point is that the shit things that you go through, I have no shame. I struggled with a bit of shame and guilt about who I was in the past and how I reacted to things and the validation I cared about and some of the actions I took. But I forgive myself for it because that helped me become someone that can now understand exactly what I want in life and then become aligned to it. Because I think true fulfillment is just true alignment. Okay, so to anyone that's young, don't give a single fuck about what anyone else is thinking besides maybe yourself, your creator, and like your partner, right? Above and beyond that, allow yourself to experience these pits because that's where true growth actually happens. I've never in my life seen someone achieve something worthwhile that hasn't been through the shit. So if anything, look for it. And I think a really amazing quote is, if you knew it took 1,000 no's to get a yes, how quickly would you be searching for that no? If you knew it took 1,000 failures to succeed, how quickly would you be searching for that failure? Pretty fucking quickly. So if we can reframe this and know that anyone that's achieved anything ever has failed 1,000 times, you wouldn't be afraid of failure anymore. You'd actually look at it and be like, great, I'm closer.
Exactly.
So, and I think just to then attach that to anyone that is in a physique or health or mindset that they don't love, if they're 30, doesn't matter if you're young, if you're 30, if you're 35, if you haven't allowed yourself to fail 1,000 times, you're not going to get to where you want to go anyway. Be ready to welcome it. I think a lot of people are scared and to be biased are scared to invest in coaching because they feel like they're just going to waste the money. They're feared. If you don't allow yourself to potentially waste that, because that is an option, like let's be real, it's not like 100% of people that sign up to us achieve the best results of their life. Because if that was the case, we'd all be billionaires, right? People that sign up to us have a way better chance of achieving everything they wanted to physically than if they didn't. But you need to allow yourself to bet on yourself and take that risk. Because we have the plan in front of you. Allow yourself to fail. Don't care what anyone has to say about it, and you'll live a very free and fulfilling life, I found.
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic message to essentially wrap it up. And what a first episode for 2026, man. Essentially, go out and get it. Use the year to go beyond your balances, your boundaries of comfort, and don't be afraid to fail. If you do that, then you'll probably have the best year of your life.
Fucking
Like it, yeah.
See you, boys.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on. That was fun.